Some sports entertainment is Brad, the dad and father Greg, the SmackDaddies.
Hello, friends, and welcome to your SmackDown review for The Hub. I am Brad the Dad, and running shotgun with me is no one because Greg's away. And I'm putting a video out because we've been getting some traction with our videos, and I'm just trying to do something different. So it's been one of those weeks where things have been a little bit different. So I figured, why not try something different with you guys today? So I am going to try and make sure I have all the sound effects in like normal. But I'm trying this, and if it doesn't work out, you will never see this video. I will definitely be doing that. Okay, so there might be a slight audio adjustment that I'm about to make. Great. Here, let's see if that's noticeable in the recording. And if it is, it's because I'm bringing my soundboard into the mix. So let's talk about life before we get into SmackDown, because honestly, this SmackDown, it was good, not great. So there's lots of cool things going on in wrestling, including Goldberg being grumpy about his last match and Lil Nate getting hurt and just coming off a crazy weekend of wrestling. So last weekend, I was actually away and did not watch any wrestling. So when I say I did not watch any wrestling, I mean I did not watch anything but SmackDown with Greg, which I powered through, did the recording with Greg. And then over the course of the weekend, I was volunteering until lunchtime on Sunday, came home, took a nap, and then I started catching up. So Saturday night's main event, the women's PLE Evolution. Then I went to AEW, and then I went back to NXT, and then I caught up on Raw and NXT. Everything's been great this week. Watched most of Dynamite, which is not normal for me. Coming off of their PLE, it was a really good show. And yeah, we have breakdowns of Raw and a bunch of other things throughout the network. And I'm going to try and do more of the 1 minute recaps for those of you who can't watch everything. I struggle to watch everything. So sometimes I'll try and do that. And that's kind of what we do with SmackDown, is that we kind of do those things. In my real life, went to a wedding last night, went out two-stepping with my wife, had a delicious meal at the local establishment called the Wooden Monkey. It is a restaurant. Watched these bartenders try and keep up with a wedding reception, which took place at the Wooden Monkey. I think 50 guests. They all came over to the Wooden Monkey for supper. They drank and were merry, and I watched entire bar top. So you got to manage one of those half round bar tops, probably about 20 feet lengthwise with a 6 to 10 foot connection, and then another 20 feet that way. And pretty much the half of the bar was full of empty glasses. So that looked like fun, but that wasn't the party I was at. I was at a wedding that was at a golf course. Was over for the dance. Was at the ceremony in the afternoon. That was really cool. And it was a lot of fun. So, and then real life, doing a research project for work, and yeah, just kind of hanging out. So that's kind of my life. And then I sat down this morning after cleaning my house to say, hey, let's watch SmackDown. So, and I'm going to go see Superman. So I'll probably talk about that at some point. Really excited to go see that movie today, mostly because I love James Gunn and I like Superman. He's not my favorite DC character, but the idea of them getting good DC movies to compete with the Marvel movies always makes me happy. What did not make me happy, though, was SmackDown. I'm not going to lie. This was not a good show. And the name of this episode comes from the last segment, which when I get there, I will probably explain it. Is that legal? Because that's going to be the question coming out of this episode of SmackDown. Was that legal? And the illegal activities start right at the beginning, because we have the MFT, aka the new bloodline. And we begin this show with a special treat for my partner, my pal, Greg, being away. And this begins the segments for this week called, Hey, Greg, this is what you missed. And Greg, if you listen to this before you watch SmackDown, which I think you probably will, don't watch this segment. This will just piss you off. So skip the parking lot segment, because we start our first part of As the Bloodline Turns. And for those of you who saw me dancing my head, that is our sound effect for the Bloodline, the organy music. And yeah, there's a crash. The MFTs were attacked with a hit and run, and we have to figure out who done it over the next 60 minutes. Meanwhile, Charlotte and Alexa are in the back, and the roles have reversed. This week, Charlotte is about the team. She is still Charlotte Flair, which gets her a number one contender spot. I mean, she had to beat all of those other teams in a tournament down in South America, the same way that Greg and I beat all the other teams to become the East Coast podcasting champions of the world. And Charlotte wants Alexa to have her back. And she says, are you a cheerleader? And she says, you kind of look like one. And Alexa goes, yeah, fair. And she grabs some bombs. And match number one is Charlotte Flair versus Raquel Rodriguez. And Raquel has good old Roxanne Perez in her corner. Overall, early on, Charlotte is high flying, but she gets overpowered by Raquel. Raquel gets caught, and the rally happens pretty much just as they come back from the commercial. And it looks like Raquel kind of misses a twisting Vader bomb, which leads to the rally. Roxanne tries to distract, and it's actually works in the favor of Charlotte and Alexa, because Alexa attacks Raquel, drops her neck first on the ropes, and Charlotte capitalizes for the pin. So great. The heels lose and the champions win. And I can't help but think that this is just going to be filler. And honestly, some of the SmackDown was very good, but some of this was not. And this was, I'm going to put with the not. Speaking of not, Jacob is a person of interest, and the police approach him and he freaks out, but they have, hey, Jacob. Hey, Jacob, just go with the police. Yes. You are a visible minority. Just go with the police. I'm sure nothing bad will happen. That was sarcasm. Don't cancel me, please, internet. I know that bad things could happen. And I know that I live with a certain amount of privilege as a white dude. So just putting that out there. But I was like, dude, this guy's had terrible interactions with the police. Why are we making this a storyline? So speaking of why, recap number one. You just have to find the podcast. I play that sound whenever we get something that looks like it could have been an internet feature or is retelling something. And this was new content, but it was Jade and Tiffy setting up their match. But I swear to goodness, we're probably going to see most of this over and over again in the build-up, and maybe even on the pre-show for whatever night of SummerSlam they're on. But this is an actual recap. Recap 2. Aleister Black losing the R-Truth causes him to snap, and Truth's nowhere to be found. The hottest star in WWE 6 weeks ago has had so much water put on him that there is, I don't know, it's like one of the Canadian forest fires out here. It felt like there's been water bombing done. Again, don't cancel me. It's not meant to be jokes. Hearts and thoughts and prayers to go to people in Canada who are dealing with wildfires and people across the world. But seriously, how much water can you pour on one guy when he's that popular? And Carmelo Hayes is here. He mouths off to Damian Priest. The Miz is still MIA. Is he off filming American Gladiators? I assume so, and I really hope so, because I miss The Miz. I hope he comes back soon. Let's put his face on the side of a milk carton, ladies and gentlemen, because we need to send out a search party for The Miz. And anyways, Carmelo Hayes is going to get Damian Priest. Recap 3. Hey, Cody Rhodes is going to be in Naked Gun, and we saw his terrible toupee and his fight scene. Great. Greg, I could hear you screaming at this point. There was so much stuff. You have to watch this. I can only imagine you watching this live and just being in a terrible mood. Greg, I hope you're in a good mood today because I took one for the team. Carmelo Hayes versus Damian Priest. The story of this match is that Carmelo Hayes is an excellent wrestler, but has no chance of winning this match. And he keeps rallying. So we start off, Hayes sneaks attacks from behind. Priest gets beat up. And then before the commercial, he gets kicked. Priest gets kicked into the ring post on the outside. Great. There's a lot of cool, flashy moves. And every time Damian Priest looks like he's going to catch Carmelo Hayes, there's a counter. So Carmelo Hayes hits Carmelo Hayes counters his choke slam from Damian Priest. And he takes a ton of damage. But this whole match, was a setup for the fact that Aleister Black's going to come in his creepy black suit. He ends up pushing Damian Priest off the top rope while Hayes is about to eat an old school. And then Black Mass, Hayes is not dumb. He's like, you know what? I've been kicked in the head enough in this run, and dips. And this looks like it's going to set up Damian Priest and Aleister Black at SummerSlam. 2 nights, guys. Remember that. We have to get a lot of people on the card. I'm actually not opposed to this match, just for the record. I'm grumpy about it, but there should be stakes. The winner of this gets a number 1 contender match, maybe for the title on this brand. Maybe they're the next in line for the US title. Maybe they qualify for something that involves them getting a world title shot. I'm just spitballing with you guys. Even though I can't hear any of you talking, just putting that out there. It's like just trying to talk to myself and not sound crazy. Creepy Wyatt promo. They're a new family that's forged by something that's not blood. It's not the blood they share. It's the trauma they share, I think, that caused them to join together. I felt bad for the people that had to follow this. And what's going to follow this is the MFTs coming out for a promo. So, Greg, you missed more promos on this show. Like, they're setting up for SummerSlam, but they don't know how to do it other than having people talk or have hit and runs. Sure. Solo is mad because he did everything for Jacob, and Jacob doesn't care about him. Oh. Guys, this Bloodline segment is more of. By the way, I play this music in tribute to my late grandmother. She and I used to watch the soaps in the afternoon and then watch the wrestling soaps in the evening. And this is pure wrestling soap opera. Solo wants the credit for helping him. And he's not surprised somebody with Jacob's criminal record would do something like a hit and run. He's a person of interest. He then gets driven back in and released from the cop car. Jacob and Jimmy come down. There's a big fight. They have a hard time taking out Tala Tonga because Tala Tonga is, really tall. The other ones, they're just the putty patrol. So they end up being able to double team Tala Tonga and get rid of him. They've already taken care of JC and Tama Tonga. And eventually Solo is saved by Tala Tonga while JC Mateo and Tama Tonga take the putty patrol treatment of getting moonsaulted and splashed into oblivion. Oh, by the way, at the end of the segment, Solo gets arrested by the cops because apparently he faked the hit and run. Sure. Greg, this is going to lead to a steel cage match. That's probably the bigger thing coming out of this. Looks like we're getting a SummerSlam steel cage match with Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu. Great. Gimmick matches are great. I'm actually a big fan of it. And I think these guys can put on a great match. So recap number 4. We're going to show what just happened with the Bloodline. Oh, and the crew of Jelly Roll, Randy Orton, Logan Paul, and Drew McIntyre are all on an evening talk show because Jelly Roll is filling in, being the guest host. He brought Randy in. This leads to a Kaufman and Lawler style brawl, trying to get the mainstream crossover. I don't think that stuff works anymore, but it was good to get, like, if you were watching late night, and apparently based on the fact that Stephen Colbert is getting canceled, nobody's watching late night. So yeah, if you were watching late night, maybe you said, hey, look, Jelly Roll and Logan Paul are going to wrestle. This might be worth watching. And the 2 big muscly guys fought off stage. I'm glad nobody took any major bumps other than Logan Paul getting put through the desk. It's still wrestling. That's still got to hurt, but whatever. I'm actually excited to see how they pull that match off. Not sure I'm going to be happy afterwards, but in the meantime, I'll stay positive. Let's see what they can do. And next up, Stephanie Vauquer, who won the Evolution Battle Royal and is going to fight at a PLE, just not the next PLE. So she has to wait until Backlash in France or whatever, the Clash of the Castle, I think, is the next one in France. Sure, the French pay-per-view coming up. that one, Greg and I are always down for because afternoon PLEs. Let's go. Like my not being up late because I'm an old man. Guys, this is why I'm going to go see Superman in the middle of an afternoon, not an old man. Yes, an old man. So dudes, my dudes and dudettes, Stephanie Vauquier versus poor Alba Fire is literally what my notes said. Alba Fire gets a tiny bit of offense, gets hit by the Devil's Kiss and the SVP. And Greg, when you return next week, this match is setting up the fact that the other half of the Secret Hervis, Piper Niven, who attacks after the match, is probably going to get beat up by Alba Fire, which will lead to Chelsea Green at SummerSlam fighting Alba Fire. That's what you missed, Greg. That's what you missed. Please, Greg, we're not breaking up, by the way. This is not mom and dad getting a divorce. Greg, please come back to me. Don't say that you've gone to get the milk and you're not going to come back. I need you to come back, Greg. I can't do this without you. And now let's go to the back. And we got your Street Profits, and they are not in the next match for the number one contendership. They lost to the Wyatt Six. They acknowledged the Wyatt Six had to cheat to win, and the Street Profits aren't going anywhere. They're going to be back on top. DIY comes in, taunting them and blaming them for this whole mess. I don't think this one was their fault. And where was the rest of the tag division during that match to protect and help ensure that the Wyatts did not cheat to win? The semi-main event is the actual last match of the night. And our match is going to be DIY versus the Motor City Machine Guns versus Axiom versus the Lucha Friends, which are Andrade and Rey Fenix, which is the winner is going to go on. And are any of these three former world title champions, except for Fraxium, who won the NXT titles, but any of these decorated former tag team champions have a chance to win? Or is the makeshift Lucha Friends, which, by the way, if you're new, the Lucha Brothers are Rey Fenix and Penta, who are actually brothers. I like to call this mix of two Mexican wrestlers just thrown together the Lucha Friends, because they're like the other Lucha teams. They're just friends. So our Lucha Friends going to win? Well, spoilers, they did win. I hate recapping matches like this. There's so many big spots, and it's really hard to keep up. Before the first commercial break, it was Motor City Machine Guns showing off their classic dive through the ropes. We come back, Shelly's getting beat down. There's a tag. This next stretch is the Luchas. We're getting stereo dives from the Fraxium pairing where they start doing dives in every direction. And Rey Fenix, at this point, I noticed his bodysuit. I feel like somebody fat shamed him and made him put on a bodysuit because this looked terrible. White is not a flattering color on anyone, as I wore a white shirt to a wedding and realized this makes me look fatter than I actually am. So all that being said, guys, like Rey Fenix looks awesome. Don't cover his tats. He looks great. Don't make him wear a bodysuit. This looks stupid. The Motor City Machine Guns do hit their facials. We're coming back from the second commercial. They try for Skull and Bromes. Fraxium comes in. They do a bunch of work hitting their tag team move. And if it wasn't for Rey Fenix taking out DIY, because DIY takes out Fraxium, they're going to get the win. And Rey Fenix comes in and does it there. And we get a misfire from DIY where looks like Johnny Gargano kicks Ciampa, and this leads to the Lucha Pals hitting a finisher for the win. Guys, the Lucha Pals, the Lucha Friends, you can decide. Which do you prefer? Put it in the comments below. Check out our reels. And yeah, should we call Rey Fenix and Andrade the Lucha Friends or the Lucha Pals or the Lucha Buddies? Because I've now stolen Lucha Buddies and Lucha Pals from Scott Stanford. May he always be announcing wrestling somewhere and who's coming to town at some point. And yeah, for those of you interested, he's selling testosterone here in Canada. Go and find out. I talked about this last week. Our main event is actually John Cena and Cody Rhodes talking. So Cody Rhodes comes out. He's setting up the match for SummerSlam. He signs. He realized that he's faced a lot of people in his career. He didn't flinch when he came back to WWE, when he was fighting Rollins, when he had the pec tear, when he won the Royal Rumble, when he won it again, when he faced Roman Reigns and finished the story. He didn't flinch. But when he was fighting John Cena, he did. And now he's proven that he is in the right headspace to win. He's acknowledging the fact that the crowd is booing him. And we might get John Cena being turned by the crowd because people don't want to boo John on his go away tour. And people kind of want to boo Cody. So I was very surprised. Maybe this is just the Texas crowd because they were hot all night and they were kind of a smarky crowd, almost like a Toronto or Montreal. So Philadelphia, maybe they're just being smarky. I don't know. And for those who aren't used to the wrestling term, smarky means smart mark. So that means that they are kind of being donkeys. So not that I'm calling anybody that was at SmackDown last week a donkey. I'm just saying collectively, you were kind of not playing your role. You're supposed to boo the bad guys and cheer the heels. But sometimes bad guys turn themselves into good guys by go from heel to face or face to heel, vice versa, depending on how the crowd reacts. And that's good booking. Listen to the crowd and give them what they want. Shockingly easy to do, shockingly hard to do for a number of years, especially in this company. So right now we are getting what we want. And John Cena comes out and instead of giving us what we want, we're getting what he wants. Can you believe it? John Cena's like, hey guys, I've given you everything, my emotions, my body, and I can't put on a good enough match. So I'm not going to wrestle at SummerSlam. This leads to Cody losing his cool. John tries to lead. There's a brawl. John eventually gets the advantage. He's going to hit Cody with the title, but Cody this time is ready. He ends up beating up John Cena, putting him on the table and splashing him through it. And then the unconscious John Cena has a pen placed in his hand and Cody moves his arm to make a John Cena signature. And that's where the title of this episode comes. Is that legal? I mean, is that legal? Is it legally binding contract? I need a lawyer, please. Would somebody with a law degree comment on this in the comments below? Is that legal? And if it is, why hasn't anybody else ever done that? Beat up your opponent, make them sign a contract. Just makes good sense. But I guess if you're Cody Rhodes, the rules don't apply to you. So we are going to get out of this contract signing a street fight. John Cena, Cody Rhodes, rematch at SummerSlam in a street fight. And Cody, what were you thinking? Unless you're going to pay Roman Reigns, Jim Uso, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, maybe a bunch of other Samoans, because we have a bunch of them in this company. Somebody has to have your back because John Cena has The Rock and Travis Scott. And boy, oh boy, I think the internet will explode if Travis Scott comes out here and helps John Cena keep this title. Especially if Travis Scott comes out without The Rock. I think internet exploded. All right, I've talked enough. Let's do a synopsis.
This is your SmackDown synopsis.
You can listen to all of your favorite podcasts, including a few new ones. You're getting throwback podcasts. You get We Talk Too Much. And of course, the Raw Dogs, who cover doing all those podcasts and are putting them together. Randy's doing a great job producing all that. And Randy and Eric B and Randy C are talking about Raw. And they'll be next up after, I think we're getting a special podcast tomorrow. So yeah, check out the hub. And it's really hot here. I hope my hair is not too poofy as I quickly go back through the show. So normally I do a yay boo thing. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to quickly go through what you probably need to watch from this show. So what you need to watch is Charlotte and Lexa getting along. Yeah. Carmelo Hayes running away from Aleister Black and Damian Priest get kicked in the head. That 30 seconds. Yeah. The MFTs getting arrested and the announcement of the cage match. Yeah. The rest of that stuff around it you don't need. Let's say, I'm really struggling. The tag match, you can watch that whole tag match because it didn't feature DIY. This Rebel Heart. And you know what? You go out of your way, watch the Cody Rhodes SummerSlam thing. It was funny just for the reactions. And I'm going to play the Cody Rhodes sound effect because I don't know if the crowd's going to react like this much longer. So that's it. This is a 25-minute podcast. This was not the best SmackDown. And I think you could probably watch the recap on WWE.com and get what you need. Watch Tag Match, Greg. So that's my recommendation. Greg, if you listen to the SmackDown synopsis, watch the Tag Match, check the recap video on WWE.com. See what's coming up next week. See how the SummerSlam card is shaping up. And yeah, we'll be back next week, both of us together, because Greg has gone out for milk, but he will be back shortly. And until then, goodbye, my friends. Goodbye, my pals. Goodbye, my buddies. We the ones.
Revolutionary podcasting, sports entertainment. Father Greg and Brad, the dad bless you all with the lovely tales of Friday Night SmackDown and beyond. Go to the outer limits of your mind with the SmackDaddies. Podcast.